Hello and a very warm welcome. You're watching The Wire Wrap. I'm Sravasti Dasgupta. This is our new show ahead of the Lok Sabha elections where we discuss all the top political developments. And today joining us is MK Venu, founding editor at The Wire, and Javed Ansari, senior journalist. First off, let's get started with the big story that's happened just this morning is that a contempt petition has been filed in the Supreme Court after the State Bank of India did not meet the deadline that was given by the Supreme Court to furnish the details of the electoral bonds. Just to give our viewers a sense of what has happened, remember last month the Supreme Court had asked the SBI to furnish all details by March 6th, which was yesterday, and now that date has gone. In the meantime, the SBI has also moved court. On the 4th of March, the SBI asked for more time and sought for time till the June 30th and to furnish these details. Now, all this has opened up a lot of conversation about whether so much time is necessary, since June 30th will be, of course, well after the general elections end. Venu, coming to you, an expected development, would you say that the SBI is seeking more time and a date that is well after the general elections?
Well, the day the Supreme Court came up with this order with a deadline for prescribed deadline for SBI to produce the list, I saw Twitter, most people, knowing this government's track record for non-transparency, most people on Twitter were clearly speculating that the list will not come on the deadline given by the Supreme Court, and people were speculating that there was widespread speculation that the SBI will find some pretext to delay the production of the list, and that's exactly what has happened. So this speaks about the predictability of this government and SBI, which is owned by the government, and this big scam, electoral bonds, is clearly turning out to be the single biggest corruption scam or case that has come out in the past so many years, and I would say it's a 16,000 crore scam, because that's the amount of election bonds that were submitted by the political parties for their funding, and clearly BJP got 57% of the entire money. And since SBI is owned by the government, it is very clear that this Sarkar is stonewalling this issue and trying to ensure that this information does not come out before the elections. And I have personally spoken to, in the last 1 week, I have spoken to at least 3-4 senior State Bank of India officials, senior meaning very senior, who are now retired last 4-5 years. They tell me that this entire information is sitting in their hugely efficient core banking solution software, which was built by TCS, Tata's, for the SBI, and which is housed in Belapur, which is near Mumbai. And he says that within a day, this entire information can be retrieved at the click of a button. This is what very senior guys have told me. Senior guys who are batchmates of the current SBI chairman Dinesh Khara.
Javed, you want to come in on this, the fact that a lot of people, former, as Venu was mentioning, former SBI chairman, they are saying that this data is very clearly available and easily available and can be made public if the chance is given. But the fact is that the SBI has sought more time, and not just a couple of weeks, it has sought time well after the elections will get over. How do you see this?
This is clearly an attempt to hoodwink the system, hoodwink what the Supreme Court has asked them to do, and now the onus is on the Supreme Court to ensure that it dictates that its its orders are implemented in toto. Today the ADR has filed a contempt plea, and suo moto the Supreme Court, Apex Court ought to have acted. Otherwise there will be, as it is, Venu was talking with speculation, there are lots of on social media and outside people are talking about it, on why does the Supreme Court treat this government with such kid gloves. I mean, it's one thing to make a statement and grab headlines, but you need to implement it. You need to see through this. You need to ensure, you need to follow up and ensure that whatever verdict the Supreme Court has delivered is not, diverted or deflected or on some flimsy pretext. So therefore, the onus is on the Chief Justice and on the Constitution bench to ensure that its verdict in toto is implemented, and no leeway or no leniency is provided to the government and to the SBI. They should. Why don't they get an independent panel of, say, former 5 or 3 former SBI chiefs? Let them come and tell the Supreme Court under oath.
Or why not call this SBI chief himself and ask, probe him as to why it should take 137 days to get this list out. As Javed says, Supreme Court is now really under pressure because the CGI in his order has clearly, specifically, explicitly he has said that such information should be available to the voters of India to make an informed choice. Having said that, if this information does not come out, then it is also a kind of, this is insulting the Supreme Court, the highest judiciary in this country. By the government is mocking at the Supreme Court. And number 2, the Supreme Court should also realize that by delaying the hearing of the case, or by delaying the judgment by about 4 or 5 years, they have already ceded such a big advantage to the BJP, the largest recipient of the electoral bond money. That advantage, the BJP is already going into this general elections with that advantage, right?
Yeah, I just want to pick up on that point and coming to you, Javed, on this, that we've already seen one general election, multiple state elections where these electoral bonds have already financed. And now, of course, the Supreme Court has given the date of March 11th when they will be picking up the contempt petition as well as the SBI's matter. But the thing is that, as you're talking about the Supreme Court dealing with the government with kid gloves, but is this going to become an issue going into the elections? Is this, the Supreme Court, as Venu mentioned, said that the voters should make an informed choice, but is it resonating with the public in any way, in your opinion?
Look, it a lot depends on how the opposition, because obviously the government will not bring this up, how the opposition plays it, on their ability, on their communication skills. Right now, if you go by the opposition's response, it is not enough. Just mentioning it once on Twitter or getting your treasurer to hold a press conference is not enough. They need to be able to, and they need to be able to explain it, present it in such a way to the average person that he relates to it. Right now, people don't know electoral bonds kya hai. How will my driver know what does it mean to him? They need to explain it in a manner on how it affects the common people. The Supreme Court is on test here. Its credibility, its authority will stand greatly diluted if it allows any, if it gives any concession after the pronouncement they made earlier, if they cede any ground to the government, if they allow them any concessions. The Supreme Court owes it to itself, owes it to the people of this country, owes it to to the credibility of that institution, to be able to ensure that this is followed both in letter and in spirit.
I just want to, of course, mention the fact that, of course, this is going to be playing out in the coming weeks, but whether it really translates into a major issue going into the elections is, of course, depending, as Javed is mentioning, how the opposition articulates this. But, of course, the Supreme Court's credibility is at stake here, and it has been praised recently with this order. A lot of people said that the Supreme Court has found its voice again. Now, whether it manages to stick to that is only time will tell. But the other big issue that we are tracking this week is, of course, going into the elections, the Bharatiya Janata Party, the BJP, has released its first list of 195 candidates. Now, this list, of course, includes 34 central ministers and a lot of usual names. Prime Minister Modi again contesting from Varanasi, Amit Shah will be from Gandhinagar, Smriti Irani will once again be fielded from Amethi to ensure that, in a way, she manages to keep Amethi away from the Gandhis. But a few surprises as well, and we will be getting into that in just a moment. But the issue that I think is most interesting, Javed, you want to come in on this, is that for the first time we have seen that 195 names have been declared, yes, but 2 candidates have dropped out immediately after the list was announced, and this was after a massive backlash over how these 2 candidates had presented themselves in the public life, misogynistic videos and objectionable content, and then they had to drop out. Is this something we have seen before, that announced candidates have had to drop out?
Yeah, it's not uncommon. But the fact that you announce it with great fanfare, and then your fan base amongst our fraternity as well tom-toms it as a master stroke.
Who are the two candidates that have dropped out?
The gentleman from...
One is TMC.
Yeah, we have Pawan Singh from Asansol and the other person is Upendra Rawat from Barabanki. These are the two candidates who
Both
have...
of them had...
Okay.
So Pawan Singh is of course a Bhojpuri videos etc. he used to make a lot of...
Rawat?
And Rawat had some videos had emerged with objectionable content. He later claimed that this was AI generated, but he also withdrew his candidature.
You know, this list, it's one thing to be able to announce a list. They have 300 odd sitting MPs. So it's not very difficult to announce. A lot of them are sitting MPs, only 30 of them have been changed. But it's more conspicuous by the omissions. Vasundhara Raje Scindia. So far no word about whether Nitin Gadkari is going to be nominated. If Rajnath Singh is nominated, if everybody else has been put on that first slate, why not Nitin Gadkari? What's the mistake he's made? This also appears to be, they appear to be shutting the door on Vasundhara Raje, because Shivraj Singh Chauhan has been adjusted after he was, after they replaced him as Chief Minister. They are now bringing him to the centre, and if they get a third term, he will probably be a part of the cabinet as well. But in Vasundhara Raje's case, that doesn't seem to happen. I am very keen on knowing what is going to be the fate of Mr. Brij Bhushan Saran Singh. Yes. They've kept quiet. Word has it, I don't know, word coming out of people from within the BJP, particularly those belonging to his caste, is that his name has been kept out for strategic reasons, and right towards the end, they'll put his name out, because if they renominate him right in the first list, then it will give a lot of these women groups, a lot of liberals, a lot of sections of the media when they'll protest, and this could become an issue, so they will use him towards the end. So,
plus Javed, doesn't he impact not just his constituency, but there are 3-4 constituencies? 3-4
seats, yeah, because he's an influential Rajput leader. And that's the reason.
In terms of the omissions, Venu, of course, the biggest omission that we have seen is Sadhvi Pragya, the MP from Bhopal, who has been left out this time. During the previous general elections, we saw that she had embarrassed the BJP in many ways with her comment on Hemant Karkare, the former ATS chief, and then, of course, calling...
I remember the PM saying that I will not be able to forgive her for the Godse comment, right?
Yeah. Myself.
Yeah.
So she's been left out. And
there's a bigger omission, by the way. Which is the flip side of what Javed was saying about Brij Bhushan's, the controversy, scandal that Brij Bhushan Singh has created. The flip side is that women, this government for months on end, they kept standing by Brij Bhushan Singh while these women wrestlers were protesting and were going through whatever they went through. And throughout the country, young women they got put off by the BJP's attitude, behavior in managing this Brij Bhushan situation. So the flip side is, out of 195 seats candidates that have announced, only 15% women.
28 candidates, yeah.
Yeah, only 15% women. And this is a party which tom-tommed, made a big thing about 33% of the reservation parliament for women, although it is all postponed to beyond 2029. But in spirit, if they claimed to have been to have been the leader in announcing 33% implementing parliament reservation for women, what stops them from giving 33%, having 33% of having had 33% of the first list as women, unless they are going to, in the remaining seats, they are going to make up this 33% by giving many more women in the next list, which seems unlikely to me.
In fact, a good idea would be to do a check on how many seats, what is the percentage of seats that each political party gives to women. All of them have paid lip service. Whether it's just been lip service, or do they really mean, if there's really some intent behind it. Hold BJP to that yardstick, because they are the self-proclaimed champions of women's rights, but also hold the Congress party, the left parties, the Samajwadis, the TMC.
By the way, TMC
had
been
40.
maintaining 33. Naveen
40.
Patnaik has given 40% women candidates during
So, barring these notable exceptions, still the majority of the political parties so far have only paid lip service. We need to see whether they are willing to put their money where their mouth is, and whether they're going to give women these number of seats. If I was a betting man, I would bet against it.
Okay, and also the other.
There are other two omissions I forgot to talk about, which is people who have ostensibly embarrassed the government. The government doesn't get embarrassed when Ramesh Bidhuri made that statement in Parliament, unprecedented, calling Danish Ali all that abuses that he heaped on him. Never happened in Parliament. But this government, BJP used it in the Rajasthan elections, which they thought that they were consolidating Hindu votes in certain constituency. Ramesh Bidhuri was made in charge or whatever. Now, that Ramesh Bidhuri has not been named. In his place, I think some other Gujar leader has been Ramveer Singh. Yeah. So this is, in my view, this is not as if they are punishing Ramesh, but I think, as Javed said, some tactical reason. Similarly, for some tactical reason, they have not, from Delhi, they have not given Sahib Singh Zarma's son also, they have not named him. Yeah, because he's also in the past has been has been accused of hate speech against Muslims.
But I have a concern, I mean a question, speculation at this point. Do you think that these leaders who they as you're mentioning, they've clearly not punished these leaders, they're very much part of the BJP.
Yeah.
So do you think these leaders are being saved for the Delhi elections that will come next year?
Probably Mr. Harshvardhan has withdrawn. He says he's going back to resume his practice. He's an ENT doctor. So he'll resume his practice. These two, I will not be surprised that during the Delhi elections, both Bidhuri and Pravesh find a mention in the BJP list.
A surprising inclusion, though, has been of a UP person from UP origin who was a Maharashtra politician, Kripa Shankar Singh, being brought to Jaunpur with multiple CBI cases against him and his family for disproportionate having disproportionate assets. He was a minister in the Maharashtra government. So I don't understand that dynamics. Why has Kripa Shankar Singh been taken out of Maharashtra and taken?
Shankar is from Bhojpur, is from Jaunpur.
Jaunpur, yeah.
Who shifted and made his money and climbed up the ladder in Mumbai. He was once considered quite close to the powers that be in the Congress party. Then, given the plethora of cases that he has against him, he decided that discretion was the better part of valor and he switched to the BJP. Now you never hear of any cases against him. And the BJP probably hopes that he's a very resourceful man, that his resources plus the fact that he's a Rajput, also the fact that he originally belongs to Jaunpur, might help them. But this is an area, Eastern UP, where the BJP during the last assembly elections, out of the 40 odd seats, they had just four assembly seats. So in 5 or 6 districts of Eastern UP, they came a cropper. So now they're making a big effort to try and redress that. Look, one thing you have to give to the BJP, they've set this benchmark for 370. And they realize that they could be losing, that they will not make too much of a headway despite all the noise in South India. So therefore, they are fighting for every blade of glass, every advantage that they can derive from issues. They are pushing that button. So whether it is in addition to Ram Mandir, in addition to all that Bharti schemes, they've got Mr. Flip-Flop, Nitish Kumar back. In Maharashtra, they've broken political parties. They are also working overtime in West Bengal because they want to make up for those seats. Whether Mr. Nitish Kumar's return will help the NDA tally, the BJP will, by all accounts, probably win this exact number of seats or be thereabouts. But it's Mr. Nitish Kumar who will find it difficult to repeat his performance.
I think what's interesting in this list, since you're mentioning Nitish Kumar and Bihar, is that the fact about alliances, since these alliances have not been completely sealed, this list is silent on these states. For instance, Bihar is not mentioned, Punjab is not there, Maharashtra is not mentioned. So does this give a sense from the BJP that they are still trying to seal these alliances and we will see more of a clearer picture where it's going in the second list perhaps when all this is settled? Certainly. And that's why they have purposely kept silent on these states?
Certainly. In Bihar, they still to seal the deal because Nitish Kumar, he's a legend in his own mind, He believes that despite the fact that the number of his seats keep decreasing in every election, yet he believes that he is the major player there. How many seats will they cede to him? He wants at least 16. Will they give him 16, given the fact that he's done these multiple flip-flops, remains to be seen. The same is in Maharashtra. They want 30 seats and then they want Ajit Pawar and the Shinde group to share the rest.
Yeah.
Now, did Mr. Ajit Pawar break away from his uncle only to settle for these crumbs? Did Mr. Eknath Shinde do the same to settle only for these crumbs? These are issues which BJP will have to negotiate, and that's why they're waking. In Bihar, there is a formidable challenge the NDA faces this time. Nitish Kumar is gone, but there are still about 10 political parties ranged on one side. The assortment of left parties, smaller parties, RJD, Congress, stuff. And as of this morning, there are talks, there is information coming out that the India Alliance is in talks with Chirag Paswan. If that happens, that may happen, that may not happen, but in case it happens, then that could tilt the balance decisively.
There are many moving parts actually. In fact, I this morning I learned from our correspondent from UP, Omar Rashid. He was telling me that he has definite information that even Mayawati is in talks with Congress. So there could be a three-way, not ruled out. I mean, a three-way alliance with BSP, SP and Congress sharing seats, not ruled out, which is why I am told that Akhilesh Yadav has only so far talked about 30 seats. He's not talked about other seats, you know. So I think there's many things are.
You know, there's a lot of speculation, but you look at the practicality of it all. Mayawati wants 40 seats in UP. She believes she should contest 40. Congress is already contesting 17, they've announced. So that makes it 57. So how many seats will Akhilesh Yadav? Is she willing to scale down her demands? In UP, the problem is the bone of contention is not so much the Lok Sabha elections. It's only for the Congress party that, you know, they're looking at the national picture. These two parties, their regional concerns are primary. So it's the 2027 Vidhan Sabha elections. Neither the BSP nor the SP want to cede ground to each other. The BSP still believes that, you know, it can through some miracle play the role of a kingmaker, and BJP might at some stage, or Akhilesh and the Congress might be forced at some stage to support her bid for chief minister. So there are lots of these combination permutations. There are lots of these factors which are in mind. So I don't think it will be a very easy thing, but I do believe, in addition to the speculation about SP, Congress and Mayawati coming together, there is a lot of speculation, talk of Owaisi and Mayawati tying up for UP.
Okay.
So if that happens, that will cut into the SP Congress vote also.
It's very interesting, all these political calculations that are happening in UP, and of course in Punjab also we know that the Shiromani Akali Dal was in talks with the BJP. Now with the ongoing farmers protest, there's been a pause on that, and so the BJP has not been able to settle that front yet either. So that will also be reflecting in the coming list. But since we are talking about Uttar Pradesh, let's also get into the third major development that we want to discuss on the show today, which is of course the issue of paper leaks. Now last week we saw in yet another instance the Yogi Adityanath government had to cancel the examination held for the review officer and the assistant review officer of the State Public Service Commission after a paper leak. Now the examination has been postponed to 6 weeks later, but just to give our viewers a sense of how many people were sitting for this exam, the exam was held in February, on the 11th of February in fact, and saw a whopping 1.7 million youth participating for a mere 411 vacancies. Now, how do you see this data, Venu? The fact that paper leaks are happening so consistently across states. We saw during the assembly elections also, it was such a major issue. During the interim budget session, we've seen the government bring out a legislation with very strict punishment against paper leaks, but there's no prevention in that legislation either. And the fact that so many people, lakhs of people are competing for a mere 100 posts, what does that tell you?
So it's very interesting, Sravasti. Paper leaks are not new to UP. Paper leaks have always happened. But this time, two things are very different. the scale of the leak is massive, and in one case 500 crore applicants for the post of 60,000 constables. Imagine 500 crore. 50 million people have applied for 60,000 posts. That's where the leak has happened. Quite apart from the other one that you talked, Public Service Commission is different. This is police, and Mr. Adityanath has always claimed that his police setup is the most, pukta, high level of governance, from the police, which he has been claiming right through, law and order.
Yeah.
Now, law and order is not just about some encounter killing or some, fixing some here, there, Law and order is also about managing the, recruitment of constables properly, It's a basic thing. So, imagine if 500 crore applicants for the post of 60,000 constables, if they are disappointed, and you just multiply, the families would be like 4 members per family, so that becomes 2 crore people, and if you take some extended family, cousins and all, 4 crores, 4 crore people will be affected, right? And the total voting in UP is about 18 crores, 17, 18, thereabouts, So you already have about 20% of the voters affected by this, a single scam, It depends how the opposition actually plays this.
You want to come in on this, Javed? He's saying that depends on how the opposition plays in on this. Of course, Rahul Gandhi has been mentioning bit by bit about how paper leaks have been.
That's the problem. This bit by bit drip irrigation won't work. You drip irrigation won't work in UP. You need to flood the place with this. And if you drive, Venu travels a lot, so he will bear me out. When you drive through UP and Bihar, you see kids running on the side of the road, youngsters in this baking heat, bare feet.
Yeah.
They are training for these entrance physical exams, for constable, for sub inspector, to get into this CRPF, to get into this Agniveer scheme. Just imagine how much of effort, how much of aspiration. One is that. Two, it also shows the paucity of jobs, the high rate of unemployment in UP. For 50,000 jobs, there are 1.5 crore people have applied. Can you imagine how many people are jobless in Uttar Pradesh? And it also there's a lot of still government job carries a lot of respectability, more than that stability. You feel you get retirement benefits, pensions, etc., etc. So imagine what this means. This is such a potent issue. It's not enough that while your yatra is passing through Cannot Place, you raise that issue and then you forget about it. They need to take this issue to the people, take it to the streets. Akhilesh Yadav with him, more than Rahul Gandhi, because Congress doesn't have that kind of ground support organization on the ground. Akhilesh Yadav still has. Use this. This is an issue that cuts across caste barriers.
I want to add here. Since Javed is talking about how you politically mobilize, if you remember, Javed, Bihar elections, assembly elections, Tejasvi made this a single biggest issue, 40% youth unemployment at that time. UP Bihar, all India average, going by CMI data, is about 23% or thereabouts youth unemployment, 24%. In UP and Bihar, it would be upward of 30%. So you have a sitting duck of an issue, which Tejasvi Yadav used very well, and he did well.
Yeah.
He almost reached the halfway mark, So that's what is needed, as Javed says, from people like Akhilesh Yadav and Rahul Gandhi. They must focus on this issue.
Make this a people's issue. Make this a, launch a movement.
And Agniveer also, Congress has already said that they are going to roll back Agniveer, which is a very sensible thing to do. In their manifest, they are going to come up with a manifest, but reports are out that they are going to roll back Agniveer. So BJP is on the back foot on many of these counts. Agniveer has been a very, very unpopular thing among the youth in UP, Bihar, Madhya Pradesh, etc.
But the fact is that as we apart from the UP incident that we were just speaking about, even last month in Bihar, we saw massive protests after paper leaks and a lot of, there was a crackdown as well.
This is a flourishing cottage industry. The one industry which is never affected by any upturn or downturn in economic fortunes is the paper leak industry.
And so far, Javed, successive administrations would just brazen it out. But this is the first time that Adityanath has accepted the responsibility and the exams have been postponed. That's additional factor for the opposition to campaign. It has been postponed by 6 months. I think opposition should demand that it be held within a month, because the students are suffering. Why would they prepare again and again? After 6 months means it will take end of this year, they will again have to go. So
by the time the next batch will be ready to
apply. So you have to mobilize this anger.
So there's clear youth disenchantment in a sense across the states that we are talking about, and this can become a major issue. But the BJP, of course, with its white paper in Parliament and other and the narrative that the BJP is building, that the economy has grown, there's no problem in jobs and unemployment is not a big issue. So do you see this resonating in any way, or do you see this wholly depending on how the opposition articulates it? Will the people's anger in any way translate into votes?
You have to tap into people's anger. I'm unhappy about something, but what do I do? And what is the point of me sticking my neck out if there's no change likely to come about? Because choices have consequences, and in today's politics, if you go and stick your neck out, there will be consequences, there will be a price to pay for it. So the opposition needs to instill that confidence, and you need to make it a people's movement. Why can't you have a one-day UP Bandh on this issue?
Yeah.
I mean, I'm just thinking out of the box. Do something dramatic. They need to constantly keep the attention focused on this issue. Right now, nothing. It's being mentioned in passing, and the BJP's campaign, white paper, 3 trillion economy, 5 trillion economy, all this razzmatazz because the PM enjoys the bully pulpit, because they have a captive media, they have a superior communication strategy. So they are able to amplify their message, they are able to get their message across a lot more than, and then of course there is that cementing factor where people say that, no matter what, we will still vote for him because.
This great thing about Sravasti, I'll tell you, the one issue where BJP cannot build on Hindu, Muslim and other identity issues, they are able to build great narratives. Ram temple, emotionally they get people into a certain, they can mesmerize. But on economic issues, they cannot do it because experience of the ground is different. It is totally the opposite. They may claim that India is the fastest growing, but everybody knows where the youth unemployment is, what's happening on the ground, what other data show, in 5 years incomes have not increased, real incomes. You ask any Uber driver, he'd say 5 years ago what his income was, it's the same or in real terms less today, and they all complain. The opposition has to foreground this issue, they have to bring it to the fore through innovative political campaigns, like if you remember Tamil Nadu, when last farmers agitation happened last time, 2020, a lot of Tamil Nadu farmers came without any, just wearing one loins cloth or whatever, they were bare chested, just to show their angst, anger. So they should hit the streets, the youth should hit the, opposition should organize the youth.
Alright, so we'll keep a close eye on all these developments, whether these issues will be able to translate into votes for either the opposition or the BJP. We will be knowing just in a couple of months from now. Thank you so much, Venu and Javed, for joining us, and I'll see you next week on another edition of the Wire Wrap. Thank you so much for watching.